The question is, do parents want to receive boring text-heavy newsletters? No, they don't. Hey guys, my name's Dion from Schoolzine. For almost 20 years, Schoolzine has been providing schools across Australia and New Zealand with a newsletter platform. We have over 2,500 schools. We're very proud of that. Every day, schools use our product to build great-looking newsletters that celebrate student achievement and brag about all the great things your school is doing, newsletters your parents love to receive. Whether you're a small school or a large school with a marketing team, or you're an admin person that's doing 100 things, driving the bus, organising tuck shop, answering the phone, talking to mum, that kind of stuff, you'll be able to use our newsletter builder. No matter the type of school, you can use Schoolzine's newsletters to elevate the profile of your school, increase enrolments, improve your outward appearance. For 17 years, thousands of schools, millions of newsletters sent. We have the data that tells us that parents like to receive newsletters. Now you'll have that data as well. So we've taken our newsletter analytics tool from here all the way up to here. Over to our CEO, Dan Dawson now, who will take you through the analytics tool that will actually show you proof of your parents' engagement. It will show you time on page, articles being read, even the language that your parents are viewing the newsletter in. It's really cool.
So the newsletter analytics dashboard, there's an icon on the left here in the menu that's just under analytics. This is the icon that gets you to this page. So every school's obviously got a different number of students and it changes from year to year. This count is actually used in a lot of calculations on the page. So first order of business is to just adjust this number just so that everything you see on the page makes sense. And then once you get down to here in the newsletter timeline, this is sort of the core of it and the core of the filtering. So adjust the blue bars on either side, and that creates a window of time for you. So once you've sort of honed in on the time that you want, you basically just scroll down and every graph's going to filter to the period that you've selected. What this tells us is how quickly people are jumping on the newsletter. It shows us that we get this big spike when it's sent out. Most of the people are reading it straight away. If I saw, say, this one, which is a bit lower, and I wanted to sort of focus on that one or compare one or two, I can tick and untick these at the top. Where this is applicable to a school, it's just as a base level sanity check that, we've got 300 views, we've got 280 students. If we assume about one or two parents per family, and it's a bit tricky with siblings and different family situations, but we're getting at least almost two people for every student reading this newsletter, and a lot of them are opening it the day that it comes out. As I scroll down, I get a bit more of a breakdown of what's going on with each newsletter. So over here on the left, I can see in week 1 that it had 480 views. So that's cumulative. So up here, I get 300 views on the first day, and then 42 on the second day, and so forth. And then the time on page, it is an average. Where this is useful is just seeing that the content that we're putting out is engaging, or that it's sort of like holding the attention of the parents. Sometimes we just have a short newsletter, so they can read through it quicker because there's a bit less content that week. Over here, we've got the average readers per student, so we're at 139%, which is excellent. The national average is around sort of 70 to 80. There's a few reasons behind that. So some is that there's siblings at the school, so they might have one family with 3 kids and only mum reads the newsletter, so that means that it's one parent for 3 kids, changes the ratio a bit. Otherwise, the general rule is that every student, you generally have one of the parents reading the newsletter. Unique readers, so this number is summative across the range that you've selected, which is a very fancy way of saying it's reset who's unique for every newsletter. If you've got a lot selected and you divide that number, you should expect, say, 3.1k divided by 8, you'd expect 385 readers per newsletter. So what that tells us is 385 for 280 students, which is a great metric. These sections give us details on the individual articles. So these sort of metrics up here roll up a number of averages and things like that, but the details are down here. So if I hover over the week 1 newsletter, I can see that an article called Principal had 317 views. I can see that the parent education article had 236, etc., etc., etc. So it gives you a really quick view of what's popular and what's being read and what's getting a bit of time, and it starts to give you some hint about the actual content and the makeup of the newsletter. Back up here, this just gives us the roll up. So 14.6 thousand views across all of the articles and all of the newsletters. Average time on article is another big one, so 24 seconds. Skimming articles in the newsletter, essentially that means it comes in the viewport and then back out again, so it might only sort of get 2 or 3 seconds of love. And then obviously articles people are more interested in or more focused on, they're going to get more attention. This is a heat map, so this is more a metric around clicks. If I really want to focus on articles that haven't had a lot of readership, I can just pull this down and get a really good indication of, in my lower band, what was well performing and not well performing. So it's another visual way to dissect the same information. This particular screen is quite good to sort by time. So the principle here, as an example, we can see that there's about 1 minute and 10 seconds. There's about 1 minute and 8 seconds on religious education in each newsletter article. So we can really clearly see what people are reading. Another interesting thing is that you can see the number of views changing. So the sports update got 149 views by 112 readers. That's likely a section of the cohort that's really into sports. Doesn't mean it's irrelevant, should be omitted, or vice versa. It just means that when you do a newsletter, different pieces will appeal to different people depending on their interests. What we do is we crawl everything that's on the page and we give it a little tag, and when it's clicked, we put a count against it. It's just a simple way to see what people are actually clicking. If I go down, I can see 179 clicks on the Mark Your Calendar element, people opening and closing galleries, people visiting the website, seeing the archive to look at old newsletters, checking the calendar. So we're seeing a few different page interactions there. This is really useful for a few different things. So inclusivity, community, parent engagement. If a parent at home has their device set up in their designated language, you will see that language code flow through to this chart. Our newsletter product translates it for them, and this closes the loop and tells you how many people in your community are using that translation function. On the right here, we've got device types. So we've got mobile and desktop. So our newsletter is quite mobile responsive. A lot of parents might read it in the car while they're doing school pickup, during the ad break on the TV. Who knows? But we do know that a lot of it's mobile. Good to keep that in mind too, because any materials that we're sending parents, if we know that they're consuming those materials on mobile phones, it's really important to make sure that they're mobile responsive. Finally, this is a bit of an experimental widget down the bottom, which just tells us customized settings that people have. And this is us trying to capture people who might have different needs with the devices that they use. So there's such a broad range of disabilities that it's not definitive because we can't easily access accessibility needs through the web browser. But this just shows how many people are sort of using those settings to help them digitally.
Okay, so a bit of a wrap up. Yes, parents love to receive great-looking newsletters full of pictures and videos. With Schoolzine's latest analytics tool, you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see how they engage, what they engage in, how long they engage in it for. So you'll be able to make the right decisions when it comes to marketing, enrollments, all that stuff that's important. And you get all of this in a nice, neat package with a beautiful interface that everyone can use and understand. So if you're interested in any of the products or features that we've talked about today, please contact our support team. You can get all the details on the website. But we'd love to work with your school, whether you're big, whether you're small, whether you're rural or in the city. Come join the Schoolzine family.